Hi there, it's Deirdre here from Starwise Clairvoyant Astrology, just popping in today to let you know of two big events happening today, the 24th of February, 2024. And the first is this we have today a full moon in Virgo. So, of course, full moons are when everything comes to the surface. And so what that means is that, we tend to have more water in our bodies during a full moon. The tides are higher at a full moon. They're also higher at a new moon, but higher at a full moon. And, everything sort of gets pulled to the surface so that we can become a lot more aware of how we react emotionally and how much input our emotions have on our daily life and what we do, traditionally or habitually every day. So because the full moon is sitting in Virgo, Virgo energy is the energy of perfection. So when the moon sits in Virgo, we become very aware of how hard we work and how much of our energy we put into what we do. And it's a very good time for you to look at that and see whether there's many ways that you do your work or any ways that you do your work or go about your business on a daily basis where you kind of do more than what you need to. I mean, when there's Virgo energy involved, we always want to do our absolute best. And this is where we have to understand that your best is your perfection. There's nothing more you can do than your absolute best. And there's nothing any of us can do more than our absolute best. And so we have to be able to be comfortable with that, to be able to settle for that, because you can't do any more than that. So why would you stress yourself out or beat yourself up for trying to be what you're actually not able to be? You're as good as you are, and that is enough. So always remember that you are enough. So with this full moon at Virgo, we can become aware of where we've sort of maybe overly used our energy, maybe worked harder than we needed to. And this is where it's really good to be aware of how much control you think that you need to have over everything in your life. So when at this full moon, it could be a really good time to just take a step back. And instead of, busying yourself, making all those phone calls, working those extra hours at the office, doing all that paperwork, doing all of those things that you need to do to be efficient, to keep things going. But what this means is that for as long as you're always doing and being productive and being constructive, you're not allowing yourself to just be. And we have to allow ourselves to just be as well, because otherwise we'll just wear ourselves out way too soon. So we've got to get that balance right. So this full moon is a really good time for you to look at how much energy and work and time do you put into what you do, and whether you could actually take a step back from that, simply in the sense of whether you could just allow the flow and the momentum that you've already created to do its job. We know we so often, especially with Virgo energy, want to get in there and micromanage and take care of every detail and really be the wind beneath everybody else's wings. But we co-create with the universe. So for as long as you believe that everything needs to be done by you and you need to tick every box and be in control of every step of your journey, you're not allowing the universe or spirit to do their part. And so it's good every now and then to take a step back, when you've got everything in place. And with Virgo energy, there's no doubt that you've got everything in place. So just take a step back and allow things to happen. Allow the flow that you've created to do its thing, rather than you jumping in there and trying to control it every step of the way. Just let things go at this full moon and see what happens next. So the other big planetary movement today is the planet Mercury moving out of Aquarius and into Pisces. So just last week we had the Sun, Mercury, Mars and Venus all sitting in Aquarian energy. And now the Sun moved out, and now Mercury is the next planet to move out of the Aquarian energy and into Piscean energy. So what we're going to find over the next few weeks is that we're going to end up with all of those same planets now sitting in Pisces energy. And so with all of the Piscean influx of energy and with Mercury coming into Pisces, it really allows us to express ourselves from a much more creative perspective and a much more intuitive perspective. So it's about being able to voice what you feel, about not being afraid to say out loud the things that you're imagining or fantasizing about or intuitively receiving from spirit, or just feeling are true in some way. Mercury gives us the ability to express what we feel and express all sorts of things. So when he's in Pisces, he really wants us to express the higher octave of everything, really, the high perspective of everything, where we can actually look at something that's maybe quite ordinary, but actually see the higher purpose of it, or why we need to do this and why it's important in our lives. So it's a good time for you to be aware of what you can do creatively and what you need to express, and not to be afraid to speak up about those things that you feel and know to be true, because this is a time for you to realize that we're all natural channels. We can all bring through spiritual information. We can all, have that drop down into us, and it can arrive and it can just pop out of your mouth, or you can write it down or whatever. We're all capable of that. And a lot of us are doing it all the time without even realizing it. So when Mercury's in Pisces, it gives you a bit more of an awareness of where your knowledge is coming from and what it's for. So don't be afraid. If you have a creative idea or a fantasy idea or something like that that you want to sort of see the light of day, then allow that to happen, because it's not often until we actually put things out there or put them in black and white or give them life by giving words to them and announcing it to the world in some way, that we can actually see whether things are achievable or not. So, but the warning with this is, though, that it can be very easy to get lost in your fantasies at this time, and also to believe that what you're feeling, intuiting, or experiencing creatively, or however it might be, that is the ultimate truth. And so again, everything's different to everybody, and there is no such thing as right or wrong, black and white. We all see things from a different perspective. So when Mercury's in Pisces, it actually allows us to see things from a much higher perspective, where we're much more able to see where other people are coming from, to look sort of between, past the black and white, past the facts, past all of that, to the emotions, the feelings, the spirituality that's involved in any situation that we're going through. So just be aware, though, it will be easy for you to get caught up in the fantasy world. And if you're a creative person, great energy for creating, writing, drawing, whatever you're into. But it also is the energy of conspiracy theories and all of the misinformation out there, or disinformation. And again, it's an opportunity for you to look at those areas and be aware of what resonates with you. We can't accept everything we read as being true, whatever it is. We can't. You have to allow it to sink in with you and see how it makes you feel. And then you decide for yourself whether this makes sense to you. But when we've got this Piscean energy, it's the energy of illusion. So it's very easy to get stuck in a fantasy, get stuck in an illusion, get stuck in a story that isn't actually true, because it's interesting, because it's fascinating, because it's different, and because it sparks an emotion in you that you then want to do something with. So this is a very creative time for people. With the full moon in Virgo and the Mercury in Pisces, you've got all this creative energy, but you've all got all of this practical energy as well. So, this is the energy to create a beautiful poem and then make sure you write it down, and then even maybe make sure you send it off to be published or something like that. But it is that energy of not just being able to create, but to do something with what you create, or just enjoy it as well for what it is, and maybe look at putting it out there later. But it's all the energy's coming in for that. And of course, on the full moon as well, always, lovely for your crystals to be out in the full moon to give them a good cleanse and watch them sparkle the next day. So enjoy the full moon and this move of Mercury into Pisces, and I'll be back again to talk to you soon. Bye.